Using art as a tool for transformation allows us to imagine and so create the best reality possible. And I'm today with someone that knows a lot about it, Jason Silva.
It's great to be here with you, Layla.
So in a way, with the artistic process, you have also reached a state of transcendence. So it's in the healing of your own mind chatter, fears, anxiety, oh, my parents are gonna die. In the process of healing that, almost like the cause and effect, the result is you are creating this material that is then transcending your individual ego story and going out there to inspire millions of people by today.
Because what happens is, I guess, when you're doing the art, you're no longer like in your head, drowning in those ruminations and choking on those introversions. You know, like the moment in which you decide to take that and turn it into art, it's an exorcism. It's an exercise, you know? And it's similarly to when people do aerobic exercise, they say it's one of the best cures for depression and anxiety, the aerobic exercise. Well, I think similarly, making art is a form of exercise and or exorcism. And te saca los demonios, so to speak, you know, you shake those demons. But what also happens is that forcing the articulation into language, and the language doesn't have to be words, it can be music, it can be painting, but in forcing the articulation, you're taking this unformed noise and chaos, and you're making order out of it. And bringing order out of disorder is like bringing form out of the absence of form. So it's creating something out of nothing. And now that there's something, you've gotten rid of the nothing, you know, the despair, the doom and gloom, you know, it's like you've made something tangible and incarnate. And for me, that act is a healing act, and is an act of creation. It's like sex. And notice how you feel after an orgasm.
Yeah.
All contradictions are reconciled, you know? Una reconciliación de todas las contradicciones.
Yeah.
That's what has transpired when you make art.
Since I've started this journey of with this intention to bring the creative process, to make the creative process mainstream, to help people understand that art is a powerful medicine, not only for oneself but for the world. I've tried to break it down and create a map that people can follow, right? And so in this map, I've realized that a lot of our anxiety, our existential questions, our fears are actually living in the cognitive world. They're living in the metaphysical world. They don't really actually even exist, right? And the process of making art invite us, like, and you were even doing this with your hands, invite us to bring all of that not existing thing into reality, into a painting, into a video, into a dance, into a sculpture. And so that just brings me back to the question of how do we embody, how do we bring into flesh, how do we incarnate these ideas, these thoughts. And I wanted to ask you, how does personally Jason Silva do this process?
Terence McKenna has this definition of human beings as novelty engendering engines, so that we create something out of nothing, or we create new things from old things. He describes us as a coral reef-like animal, in that we take matter, materia prima, of low organization, and then it goes through the filters of our brain, our imagination, and then we extrude, you know, cameras, architecture, cathedrals, techniques like ecstatic dance and ballet, like we take in things of lower organization and we output things of more complex and sublime organization and expression. And so I think that I kind of do that with my videos. So I read this this dense book that is like inaccessible, and I try to synthesize the general idea from that book, and then I try to see how I can make that idea digestible and meaningful to somebody who maybe has no connections to the PhD level complexity of the source material that I found. And then I figure out what's another entry point to reach somebody's emotion. Well, that's music. So then if I take the synthesis of this idea in language, and then I find music to open people up emotionally, it's like priming them with medicine. I'm softening them up and opening their hearts and allowing the information to come in. And then I edit my videos with visuals that are both literal and metaphorical. So a lot of the ideas that I'm spitting forth very fast are accompanied by these animated visuals. that are either exactly what I'm talking about, literalmente, or they're metaphors that represent what I'm talking about. So essentially, I'm now flooding the person's mind system with like rapid fire imagery, which is creating thoughts and associations in their brain. They're hearing the audio of everything that I'm saying, which is being delivered in a very free associational capacity. So they got to hold on to their seatbelt because it starts here and it ends here. It's like a roller coaster. And then, of course, the music is hoping to kind of emotionally make them feel held or captivated enough that all the cognitive stuff that's coming in doesn't overwhelm them and give them anxiety. So the music is where the heart and the body meets the cognitive part of the words. And my friend Stephen Kotler from the Flow Genome Project explained this to me about my own videos. He said that working memory can only hold about 3 or 4 items in mind at once. If you flood a person's brain with more information than 3 or 4 items at once, you switch from conscious processing to unconscious processing, which you can process far more information. But the moment you switch from conscious processing to unconscious processing, you're effectively in a trance state. So essentially my videos I hope, put people in a trance. And that's the reason that when the information is being received, it's actually being received while the person is in an altered state, or a slightly altered state. And I think that for me was intuitive, because when I first started making my content, I was doing it for me. And typically the ideas were flowing when I was in an altered state. So it was very important for me that I conveyed not just the ideas, but the emotions that gave rise to those ideas. Because we have mirror neurons, so when we see somebody in an altered state, we can mirror that state. When we see somebody in flow, we can mirror that flow. That's why we love watching athletes and we love watching musicians, because it's like we can mirror their mental states as we witness them doing their thing. And so I wanted to make those videos for myself as reminders, as glimpses of where I had been, as the ultimate souvenir that took you back there. And then when I was able to share that experience with others, then it was like, wow, I can take others to where I was, and so it became a kind of like digital shamanism. I have a lot of friends that are medicine men and medicine women that take people on journeys of the mind and heart. And it's interesting because while I don't necessarily do that in the world, I feel like at my best, my videos can provide a mirror of that experience transmitted through digital form.
And this is what I want to share with you. Enjoy!
I love it because you bring in shamanism, which is our connection with spirit, with something beyond and bigger than ourselves. You bring in the mind, which we don't even have to question in your case. You bring in emotion. And I'm missing one, and Jason, this is my favorite one. How do you bring the body? Because the moment that we're not embodied, we're not fully humans.